Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the CyberGizmo, I'm going to be looking at the latest release of FreeBSD, and that would be 13.2. Yeah, if there's a shell, there's a way. That's almost as old a saying as Unix, live free or die. What's new in 13.2? So there's been, I couldn't find any actually. There isn't any security fixes that are particularly called out. But if you want to go look for those, you can go to the release errata page, and there'll be a link there to the security notes for the release. However, there has been two updates, one for OpenSSH, and that's been updated to 9.2 P1, and OpenSSL was updated to 1.1.1T, and that, of course, includes the fix for the problems with SSL that were uncovered. What else is new? So Beehive, or Behave, has more than now supports more than 16 virtual CPUs per guest. And in fact, it will actually look at the CPU count for the actual processor and determine how many CPUs to offer you. So that's a nice change. Also, the address space layout randomization, or the ASLR, has been enabled for 64-bit by default, so you don't have to go in and configure that anymore. ZFS has been updated to OpenZFS, and that's 2.19. A little bit behind where the OpenZFS is, but I haven't looked at the BSD side of it. That might be the most current, but I know for Linux it is not. Kernel WireGuard driver is now available, and there's also a kernel netlink protocol that's now available as well. And you'll probably recall that I've talked about netlink before as being updated under Linux. So those improvements have now been added to FreeBSD as well. So what do you need for this? So you'll need a 64-bit Intel or AMD processor. We'll take a look at the amount of memory that it's taking, and it will also take a look at the amount of disk that it needs. But generally, its requirements are pretty lightweight for the server, and of course, then you'll have to add in whatever your GUI requires if you want to install this as a workstation. i386, or the 32-bit mode, there is a download for that. There are a number of downloads for PowerPC depending upon which hardware architecture you have, and the same for ARM. You can put this on Raspberry Pi. They do have direct support for the Pine and Pine 64 and Pinebook. Also, RISC-V 64 is supported. I'm kind of curious as to how it will support the Starboard, so I kind of want to see how that works today. I don't know if that's one of the ones they support. Initially, FreeBSD goes way, 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 way back. It came out in November 1993. Its latest release was today, April, as of today, 11th of April. What is it intended for? You can use FreeBSD for servers or workstations, embedded systems, network firewalls, of course. pfSense runs on it. Also for storage service, and you'll find that TrueNAS has a version of using FreeBSD as well. Also, as far as the desktop environments, there has been a number of updates. GNOME has been updated to 42.2. KDE is 22.12.3. XFCE is the latest, that's 4.18.3. OpenBox 3.6.9, that's a slight change from the last time I reviewed this. Fluxbox is 1.3.7_5. I believe that's the same version that was out previously. DWM 6.3, a slight update, and BSPWM 0.9.10 is the same as it was before. Okay, so we're ready to install. It's an installer that's written in C, so it's pretty fast. As you can see, my default standard is US keyboard. I'm going to take that. I'm not running a manage, so I'll just put in, for this anyway. Now, you do have to give it some kind of of network name, and I'm just going to use local for that. It will not start, at least that's been my experience with it in the past if you omit that step. So we'll put that in. Yeah, let's do ZFS. And yeah, we'll go ahead. You just use a stripe. There's no redundancy. And we'll select that. Yep, I'm sure. Destroy away. Now this won't take very long to install. FreeBSD just is quick. But it also doesn't install a GUI by default. So I'm not going to do that today. But if you want to see how to install a GUI, you can look at one of my earlier videos. It hasn't changed. I am going to give root a password, since it will also not install sudo by default. And that is the network adapter I want. Yep, let's configure it. Yep, DHCP will be fine. It's validating that, hey, I found a network ID and also your 2 DNS servers. That's correct. And we're going to select a time zone for America. And then I got to scroll all the way down here to the bottom to get to the US. And then we'll just take Central for most areas. All right, so I want SSHD. Dump dev is okay, and then we'll just let that go. I don't have any specific security hardening needs, so I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Yeah, let's set up a user. We'll let it take the defaults. Yeah. I might want to add wheel to DJware later, but for right now, that's okay. That would be if I wanted to use sudo, but right now I don't care about that. And we'll leave that default. Yep, use that. No, don't leave it empty. I wouldn't recommend doing that. No, don't use a random password. I'll pick one of my own. And then, as I've mentioned before, sometimes administrators will lock the account out until the user is onboarded at a corporation. So yeah, and then they'll activate it, and then the user can log in. It just keeps people from grabbing the thing. Since I'm here, I'm going to use it. So yep, it's okay. Looks good. No, I don't need to add another user. Oops. There we go. And here's some other things you can do. If I want to go back and change anything, I can do that. It looks good, so we'll go ahead and exit. Is now finished. Do I want to open a shell to make any other manual tweaks? Maybe I need a driver for my machine, like a video driver or something like that. But no, I don't need that, and we'll go ahead and reboot it. And this time it will come up on the hard drive. So hopefully this will be ZFS. And we'll go ahead and skip the wait for the auto boot. Just hit enter to bypass it and have it go in. That's all you need to do there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in as root, since I'm going to have to do some things. And then it says, hey, the package management isn't installed yet, so I'll need to fetch it and then get the certificate and then download the metadata for the packages. So we should be okay here. So we can go ahead and do an update, make sure that we are up to date. We are. So the next thing I want to do is, let's do our usual. I don't know. We'll see if these are out here. That'll be interesting. I have forgotten if these are here. No, glances. I'll have to do glances via pip. Yeah. And we'll go ahead and install that. Okay, so HTOP looks like 524 meg of memory is in use. This is not running a GUI, obviously. Let's see if pip is here. Nope. Just py39-pip. Okay. Oop. There we go. So with the app cache, it's using about a gig. Yeah, that hasn't gone up much. So most of that is caching. Let's go to opt. So now I should be able to go to Linus. All right. Now I can scroll back and I'll be able to see what's going on. Sorry about that. 56. Woof, that's a low number. Multiple users with UID 0. I've seen that before, and it's pretty easy to fix. Yeah, same UID, unprotected console and TTY, no vulnerability database. So it wants me to run package audit -F. And let's do our usual stuff here. And yep, 13.2, that was released today. This is April the 11th. And all right, so let's see how much disk it's taking. 1.3 gig, and there's NeoFetch. 43 packages installed. Yeah, it's pretty lightweight and pretty much remains that way as you run. Yeah, we do have a partition. And it did give us 3 gig or 2 gig. That's as far as I'm going to go on the install. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Final thoughts about this is it is hyper fast. I mean, it's always been fast. The benchmarks will show some areas that couldn't run. For example, the RAMSpeed tests are Linux only, and those, of course, won't run on BSD. Also, the Linux tests that I run use the linix-aio drivers. Those are available under BSD, but I've always been kind of leery of using those and prefer to use the Posix-AIO drivers. So if you look up above, yeah, the Phoronix test won't group it together because it's not identical. But if you look at the front of the file and read those off and compare them, maybe I should use Posix-AIO, but you know, that's not realistic on Linux because most of the file systems install with the Linux-aio drivers. So yeah, anyway, that's the two things you're probably going to see there. Also, the HTTP benchmark did not compile. And that's common. Yeah, it's missing some pieces. I'll bring up the benchmarks and you can take a look at those. But anyway, hope to see you again real soon. And thanks for watching, and bye for now.